All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most decisive and frankly misunderstood parts of any soccer match, the set piece. Now, you might think you have it all figured out, but let me tell you, the data is telling a completely new and absolutely fascinating story.
Look at this number, 220 million euros. That's the world record fee that Paris Saint-Germain paid for one single player, Neymar. Pretty much just to score goals. It's a mind-boggling amount of money. But what if I told you there's a much cheaper and honestly a much smarter way for teams to find that same crucial goal-scoring edge?
Well, this is what researchers call a market inefficiency in the beautiful game. And it's got nothing to do with nine-figure superstars. Nope, it's about set pieces. The data shows that just hiring an elite specialist, someone who can whip in the perfect corner or free kick, can add almost 2 full points to a team's season total. When you think about that Neymar fee, this is an unbelievable bargain.
So how important is this hidden goal mine really? Well, in a pressure cooker league like the English Premier League, where a single point can mean the difference between winning a title or getting relegated, the answer is, it's potentially everything. The gap between the teams that master set pieces and those that don't is just massive.
Take the 2016-17 season. It's a perfect example. You've got West Bromwich Albion scoring over a third of their goals from set pieces. And on the other end of the spectrum, Sunderland barely scraped together 7% from them. Now here's the crucial part. Both teams scored a similar number of goals from open play. That one difference was a huge factor in West Brom finishing safely mid-table, while Sunderland got relegated.
Okay. Now for the fun part. Let's play Mythbusters with some of soccer's most deeply held beliefs. For generations, we've had these ideas passed down by pundits, by coaches, by fans. But what happens when we put that conventional wisdom under the cold, hard microscope of data?
We have all been there. Your team sends everyone forward for a corner, the ball gets cleared, and suddenly the opposition is sprinting towards your empty half. The panic sets in. It just feels like you're about to concede, right? But is that feeling actually backed up by reality?
Not even remotely close. The numbers show that from any given corner, your team has about a 2.1% chance of scoring. And the chance of the other team breaking away and scoring from that same play? A tiny, tiny 0.2%.
Let's be clear about what that means. You are literally 10 times more likely to score than you are to concede. That feeling of dread is just a psychological trick our brains play on us. The numbers don't lie. This myth is completely busted.
The great debate. Zonal versus man-to-man marking. Pundits and commentators absolutely love to blame a conceded goal on a zonal system, calling it passive and disorganized. But is it really the worst way to defend a corner?
Well, the data actually points to a surprise culprit. The most vulnerable defensive setup isn't zonal, and it isn't pure man-to-man. It's the hybrid system, that mix of both. Teams using a hybrid defense allow shots to be converted into goals at a rate of 12%, which makes it the leakiest strategy of them all.
This is a perfect illustration of how this kind of analysis can just flip decades of common knowledge on its head. So that long-held belief about zonal marking being the absolute worst? Yeah. Bust.
Okay, let's look at the delivery itself. You've got an in-swinger, which curls towards the goal and puts the keeper under pressure. Then you have the out-swinger, which curls away from the goal, often for attackers rushing in. So which one is the real weapon?
This one comes with a fascinating twist. While it's actually harder to get a clean shot from an in-swinger, if you do connect, the payoff is huge. A shot from an in-swinger has nearly an 11% chance of becoming a goal. That's almost double the rate of an outswinger, and it's simply because those chances are created so much closer to the net.
So in this case, the conventional wisdom actually holds up. Confirmed. But understanding how the researchers figured all this out is just as interesting as the findings themselves.
So how on earth did a team of researchers manage to unlock all these secrets? It wasn't just about counting goals. They had to create entirely new ways of seeing the game, which led them to develop 2 incredibly powerful analytical tools.
First, they created something called a set-piece grammar. Think of it like a language model for soccer. Instead of just seeing a kick and then a header, it tracks the entire sequence of events, the whole story of the play. It follows the ball from the initial delivery, maybe through a flick-on, all the way to the final outcome, a shot,
a clearance, or a goal. Second, they used a convolutional neural network, or a CNN. Now, the simplest way to think of it is as an AI that's been trained by watching thousands and thousands of corners. It learns to instantly recognize visual patterns, like the specific shape of a zonal defense or a man-to-man system, just from a snapshot of where players are standing. It's basically like having a seasoned coach's expert eye, but in a computer.
And this tech isn't just for academic papers. It is a total game changer for how top clubs prepare for matches. Let's see how this data can rewrite the playbook for two of the biggest teams in the world.
You probably remember all the criticism Liverpool faced a few years ago. Every time they conceded from a corner, headlines would pop up blaming their manager's unwavering commitment to zonal marking. The public story was simple, and it was pretty damning.
But the data reveals a far more complex reality. When Liverpool used their zonal system, they actually allowed shots at less than half the league average rate. So the problem wasn't the quantity of shots they faced, it was the quality. The few shots opponents did get were incredibly dangerous, more than twice as likely to go in as shots from their other setups. So the issue wasn't the zonal system itself, but a specific vulnerability within it that was gifting these high-quality chances. Now let's flip it around to offense. Data can also reveal how to manipulate an attacking team. Manchester City are famous for their tactical flexibility, but the numbers found a predictable trigger. If a team places a defender on the front post, City will often abandon their primary plan and play a short corner. But here's the catch. Short corners were their least effective tactic that season. They tried it 68 times and scored 0 goals. A smart opponent could use this knowledge to bait one of the world's best teams into their weakest play. So what this all points to is a new era of soccer analysis. Data isn't just about counting goals or passes anymore. No, it's about revealing the hidden patterns, the automated triggers, and really, the underlying physics of the game.
So, if you remember anything from this, make it these 3 takeaways. First, the most common criticism of defending is often wrong. That hybrid defense is surprisingly the most vulnerable. Second, forget the 9-figure striker. A truly elite set-piece taker might just be the smartest investment in all of soccer. And finally, no team is perfect. Even the absolute best in the world have exploitable patterns hidden deep within their data. This research fundamentally changes how we watch the game. So the next time you see players lining up for a corner, ask yourself, are you just watching a chaotic scramble for the ball? Or are you watching a data-driven chess match where one tiny detail could decide everything?